Hi, and welcome to the Hofline, your online hotline, direct line to the women-only attorneys at Hofheimer Family Law. My name is Katie Carter, and I'm so glad that you're here. I'm an attorney at Hofheimer Family Law, a Virginia-based family law firm dedicated to representing women exclusively in divorce and custody cases. I'm here today with Lori Michaud, who practices in our firm and who has over 30 years of experience practicing as an attorney. So obviously, you started when you were like, what, 6, 7 years old?
I mean, I definitely need a cane at this point.
No, you do not. Oh my gosh, stop it. No, you don't. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, I wanted to talk about something that I think is intimidating for a lot of people, and that's the initial consultation, that first appointment when you come in and meet with a lawyer and talk about your marriage, your family, your finances, your sex life, and ultimately a possible divorce. So, Lori, you've been doing this for a little while. The first question that I have for you is kind of a big one. How do you think that a person would know that it's time to come in for an initial consultation with a divorce lawyer?
Well, first of all, I can tell you both as a client myself way back in the day and as the attorney that it is scary. I mean, nobody wants to have their personal life exposed really to anybody else, but
Yeah.
certainly not to a stranger. But the reality is that you know it when you know it. I mean, you have that sinking feeling in your stomach. You know that things are not going well. And I think it's probably wise to seek help before you get to the point where papers are being shoved at you and bank accounts are being, closed off. And, if you wait till the very last minute, the very bitter end, things aren't likely to go as well for you as if you get the information as soon as you get a chance to realize that things are not really going well. Talking to a lawyer doesn't mean that you are absolutely getting a divorce. Talking to a lawyer does not mean that your marriage is definitely over. Talking to a lawyer means that you're arming yourself with knowledge, that you're a big girl, you're wearing the big girl panties, and you're making sure that you protect yourself and your family. So get the knowledge that you need. I think Hofheimer Family Law has a lot of resources that you can look over before you do the consult. But going to those resources and looking at them should tell you that you really do need to talk to somebody about the specifics in your situation.
Yeah.
You want to do that before you're having that argument where your husband is telling you this is the way it's going to be and this is how it is and you don't have any rights, because you don't want to be standing there like a deer in the headlights when those conversations come. You want to be able to stand up and pay attention and respond in an informed manner.
Absolutely. I think there's definitely also the impression that coming in to meet with an attorney is a bit like opening Pandora's box. Like once you put it out there into the universe, you can't like shove it back in the box again. But one of the things that I would say to anyone who is thinking about coming in for a consultation is that no one's going to force you to get a divorce. Our clients reconcile.
Absolutely not here.
Yeah, our clients reconcile all the time. So there's absolutely no shame in asking questions and getting information and going back, working on your marriage, going to marriage counseling, whatever the thing is, to kind of try and make things work. But there's no like one right way to do this except in getting the information so that you know what's at stake, you know what you're entitled to, what your rights are under the law.
An interesting thing about divorce lawyers is that experienced divorce lawyers know a lot about reconciliation. They know a lot about which practitioners are good in the therapist roles to try to help resolve things. They can be a tremendous resource for you over and above just the nitty-gritty of how to do a divorce or what you need to do to protect yourself. They can be a tremendous resource on how to work forward and save your marriage in a way that also secures your future. So I do reconciliation agreements often, not just separation agreements, but people that are wise about their situation and their futures, they get the help they need.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
can't know everything. You can't possibly
No.
know everything.
No, and you don't need to know everything. You just need to know the questions to ask. It's
That's
still
right.
it's still scary though, especially not knowing a divorce attorney, not scheduling meetings with attorneys, not coming in and talking to them. every single day. So it's normal to wonder, what's it going to feel like? What's it going to be like? So,
I
Lori,
can't tell you how often when people come in, the first thing they say is, "Oh, they're so relieved." They're just so relieved. Sometimes they sit and they just cry for a minute because they're just so relieved that this isn't as terrifying as they thought it was gonna be.
yeah,
There's a real person. They're just talking to a real person who knows a little bit more about this topic than they do.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what else typically happens in your initial consultations? Just kind of give people an idea of what that hour with you is like.
I usually start my consultations by introducing myself and saying, "Hey, what can I do to help you?" Some people are here because they know they have I don't know, a post-divorce issue or a support issue, or they're fighting about custody issues or parenting time issues. And other people are coming in because they think that their marriage is failing and they want some help with, how to withstand whatever is coming their way. They can feel the breeze is changing, the wind is changing, and they need some help to navigate and to be ready and prepared. So sometimes I'm sitting there just talking to them about their life and what their needs are. Other times people have waited a little bit later, and they've got a hearing date, and they've been served with something and they're in a total panic mode. And you know we see people from all walks of life and all stages of the process of getting a divorce or handling their custody or support issues. Sometimes people come in with a crisis because they're being abused, or there's just so many different permutations that people arrive in my office with. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to remember, I often say that it takes all types in this world and we see all the different types in family law. So basically, no matter what you're going through, like don't be embarrassed, be honest. I mean, it is an important time to have, a full and honest conversation with your attorney,
mhm.
which I know is hard because we're talking about money, we're talking about debt, we're talking about parenting, we're talking about sex, all of these things that you probably are not necessarily talking about with just about anyone, and in a first conversation with us too, like your girlfriends, you've got that way over
Yeah,
a period of years, and your divorce attorney is like, okay, well, tell me what's going on, tell me about his affair, tell me about your credit
absolutely.
card debt, and
And
it's
often
hard.
people are saying things to me that they wouldn't even say to their mama. You know
I
what I mean?
know.
They find themselves in a position where they really need help and they are too embarrassed to talk to family or friends about this. And frankly, it might not be wise to talk to family and friends
Yeah,
about whatever their very personal issue is. I mean, things change a lot over time. When I started practicing, things were very different than they are now. So if you're getting advice from your grandma, things were different back in her day.
yeah,
You really need some current advice at this point.
yeah, you might get some stand by your man type advice. I think
Yeah,
we're
or
past
you
those
might or
days.
you might get don't get a job and he's going to have to take care of you,
Right.
and those are not necessarily exactly true anymore.
Yeah.
So those things have all changed a little bit over time. Yeah.
Yeah. That like you kind of touched on my next question already, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I think there's so many things to say on this topic. But it is, do you have any specific advice that you'd give to a woman who is making the decision to come and meet with an attorney? I mean, we've already talked about maybe not talking to grandma about it,
But I
not
think you have
giving
to
family and friends all the details ahead of time.
I think you just really need to think about where you are and what is causing the pit of your stomach to flip around a little bit on you, and
Hmm.
drive you to know that you know when you know that something's going on, you know that you need some help, and you might not know exactly where to get it or exactly what your needs are, but you know that something's amiss. So give some thought to it. Give yourself the grace of time to sit and think about that a little bit and write your
Yeah,
questions down, because if you're nervous, it's going to be harder to remember your questions when you get in my office.
it is
So
hard
write
to
some
remember.
questions down. Yeah, write some questions down. It's okay. We're not going to be offended by you coming in with a list of questions.
I prefer it because then I know I've gotten through all of the things, and there's not going to be something else that as soon as she walks out the door, she's like, "Oh gosh, I didn't ask about this thing, this
Mhm.
important thing." It
And
helps to be
gather up what
thorough.
you can about the information too. Some people come in and they're like, I need to know what my money is going to look like when this happens.
Yeah,
And
yeah, everybody
if you
wants to
have
know.
some information about what his income is and what your income is, then we can help you with that. We could, some people come in and we just run guidelines and they're just so relieved to know. And other people come in and they don't have any information at all, so I can't really give them the kind of concrete, numbers that they might like to have.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but at least we can help to frame the questions for them to come back a second time, or,
Yeah,
whatever
absolutely.
they need to do. Yeah. So, and, go to our seminars. The seminars are a very low cost way to get some good exposure of the issues so that you can help to formulate your questions for a consultation that's personal to you.
Yeah, it's definitely a
Seminars.
different approach. Like at the seminar, you learn about divorce law in Virginia kind of generally, and then in the
Mm-hmm.
consultation, you look at your case more individually and come up with a specific plan of action for how to move your case with
Exactly.
your specific facts forward. So, I mean, I do think it's important to do both, especially, when you do something new, you don't know what you don't know. I remember buying my first house and just there were so many things I didn't know about the home buying process. So I think about these women coming in to meet with me and not having been through a divorce before, or maybe they have, but it wasn't recently, or maybe they have and it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't in Virginia. But there's so many
Exactly.
things that you might not even know to ask without kind of getting that, that overview of divorce
Or
law.
this husband could be a completely different person than the first husband if they're getting a second divorce,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
if it's a second baby daddy or whatever it is. It could be
Hmm.
a very different situation depending on the personalities involved.
Yeah,
So there's not only no shame in getting knowledge, but I mean, it's encouraged. It's a wise thing to do.
yeah,
So
yeah,
the
it is.
foolish thing is not to get the advice that you need, you know.
Yeah,
I've
there's no
found many
stupid
times,
questions. Just come
and back
ask.
to your And back to your question about when to do it, like the early side is when you first get the inkling that something is amiss, right? So that you can prepare for and plan for and be ready for what comes. But at a minimum, on the late side, you want to get that advice before you sign something. I mean, you should never sign something without having a lawyer
Yes.
look it over. I can tell you that several times a week I have someone sitting in my office that says that, he told me to sign this and he told me I was going to get nothing if I didn't. So I gave away all my rights. And, it's like, ooh, gosh, please, girl, don't do that. Don't do that
Yeah,
to
then we can't
yourself.
fix it in a lot of cases.
Yeah, it's very hard to fix that. I mean, sometimes I can figure out a way to maneuver around some parts of the agreement, and sometimes I can't.
Yeah.
So definitely the time to come in is before you sign something.
And I even see this with agreements that women have drafted themselves. I've seen women draft agreements that are way worse than what an attorney would draft for their husband, like this,
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
true.
not, it's just because they don't know. And I'll
Yeah.
usually point out to people in my, my seminars that you don't necessarily have to hire an attorney to talk to one. You can just come in and have a consultation. You can come in for a second or third appointment to review a document you've drafted or a document that you've worked on in mediation, or or really anything else. There's no limit. You don't actually have to retain an attorney to be your
Uh-huh.
attorney to appear for you in court to get the benefit of good legal advice.
And I think one of the worst things that people do is they think that because there are forms available sometimes on the internet, that they can do it themselves. And like you said, like you've pointed out, I mean, people can do themselves more of a disservice that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, even when it comes to doing a prenup or something like that, I mean, get some actual legal advice. You can't
Yeah.
possibly you can't get my 30 years experience from the internet. You just
No,
can't.
no, no.
you know. So, I mean, I got this experience through hard knocks, you know.
Right. Some harder
you
than
know.
others.
And so
Yeah.
you want to take advantage of that. That's why you hire someone who has, some expertise.
Yeah.
So,
And at the end of the
mhm.
day, we're just real people, right? We were just people that know a
Good.
little bit about divorce and custody and can kind of point you in the right direction so that we put you on the path towards reaching whatever your kind of post-divorce goals are for yourself. So,
Exactly. While
don't
you've
be
been
afraid.
living your life doing whatever it is that you do, I've been
Mhm.
living my life, learning about this practice area so that I can help
Yeah,
you if this comes to be a problem for you.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
bottom line.
Absolutely. I think this was really helpful, Lori. I don't know, do you have any parting thoughts before we sign off here?
I mean, I think it's important for people to realize that lawyers are just people. And if you go to a lawyer and that lawyer isn't just a person that can really help you, then you're in the wrong office. I
Yeah,
mean, you really
absolutely.
are, because your lawyer should be on your team.
Yeah.
You should, if your lawyer is intimidating to you and doesn't help you to understand what's going on and to get through your process, then you're in the wrong office.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lori. That last is a really excellent point. You definitely want to, pay attention to the vibe that your attorney and their office are giving you
Mhm.
and make sure that you're comfortable enough to be truthful, both about, where you've come from and where you hope to go in this process. Because our goal,
Absolutely.
our goal is always to get people
Where they
divorced.
need to go.
Yeah, in a way that allows them to live, some version of a happily ever after, to correct whatever it was that led you to this place and give you the tools that you need to be successful on your own terms, whether it's, in your career or in another relationship, or,
Mhm.
to be able to be the kind of mom that you want to be through the custody arrangement that you are able to secure in your divorce. There's a lot of different ways that we can look at the future. But we want to look at it through your lens and help you get
Exactly.
there. But
That's really brilliant, Katie, because that's
thanks.
exactly what I think that we do here, is that we try to take people where we find them. We try, if you're a person that doesn't have a 9 to 5 job, then that's okay. We can
Yeah,
work around your position and your life and what your goals are. And we do work with people from all different walks of life. It's not about us, it's about you and
yes,
supporting
yes.
you through your process.
A consultation is scary and it's hard to call and make that appointment, but I definitely hope you won't let fear of that keep you from getting the information that you need. I hope that you've seen from my chat with Lori today that we are just normal, approachable people just trying to help you. As always, thank you so much for being here today. Feel free to look at our website at hoflaw.com. That's HOFLAW.com. We've got tons more in-depth resources, including 4 free books, a number of articles and free reports, and more information about our upcoming seminars. So I definitely hope that we will see you again, and feel free to reach out. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in.